It's been nearly 3 weeks since a train carrying hazardous chemicals derailed in a small town in Ohio, releasing toxic chemicals into the air, water, and ground, followed by a controlled release of vinyl chloride on February 6th. Despite repeated assertions by the governor and the EPA that the air and water were safe for residents, approximately 3,500 fish died in 4 waterways. The rail company acknowledging that exposure to the chemicals, direct exposure, could cause ear, eye, and throat irritation. Some of those chemicals are known carcinogens. The head of the EPA, Michael Regan, and Ohio Governor Mike DeWine and Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro are all going to be holding a press conference shortly. We're monitoring that. Earlier, Regan and DeWine toured the home of East Palestine resident Carolyn Brown, who told them that residents need to feel safe in their own community.
Everybody, here's one thing here and here's another thing here, and you don't know who to trust. You know, that's a big part of it. You know, the uncertainty, and if you're going to have to move.
Saying that the water is safe, Regan and DeWine then poured 2 glasses of water from Brown's tap.
We believe in science, so we don't feel like we're being your guinea pig, but we don't mind proving to you that we believe the water's safe.
Okay,
Here's to Caroline.
I appreciate that.
Here's to you.
Thank you.
Well, joining me now is consumer advocate Erin Brockovich and author, of course, of the Brockovich Report newsletter. It's great to meet you virtually again. CNBC
nice
just did an interview. Well, and you, I want to play for you a part of an interview that CNBC, our colleagues, just did with the CEO of the Norfolk Southern, Alan Shaw. Let's listen to this.
If East Palestine was your home, would you have come back? Would you bring your children back right now?
Yes. Yes, I've come back multiple times. I've drinking the water here. I've interacted with the families here. I know they're hurt. I know they're scared. I know they're confused. They're looking for information and who to trust. I encourage them to ask questions.
You know, Erin, you know far more about this than I do, but I keep thinking about the EPA after 9/11 on the pile and telling all those firemen and police and first responders, oh, the air is fine, there's nothing going on here. And then they all start dying of cancer over 20 years. We finally passed some legislation. So, I mean, what are these people supposed to do?
They're going to need to trust themselves and their instincts, their own eyes and ears. They know what they've experienced. They know what they continue to smell, what they continue to see, the health symptoms that they continue to have. And they need to act on that and not wait for any well-intended or misleading or otherwise statement from the U.S. EPA or Norfolk. And that's one thing that I've seen in every one of these communities that is critical. They don't need to be gaslit, if you will, and they walk away very uncertain. And I need them to stay together as a community and pay attention and document and journal what's happening to them. Because, Andrea, there's not going to be an immediate overnight solution to this disaster, and they need to hear the full truth. And I watched the U.S. EPA, Michael Regan, drinking the water. And in that moment, that condition could have been safe, but that's not going to be how it's always going to be. We're going to have to deal with how all these chemicals migrate through the water, where they hit the wells. So there's so much more to this to ensure, not only in a moment, but for the future, these people, their water and their health are in fact not being jeopardized.
And the EPA has ongoing air and water testing and are telling community residents that it's safe. But as you point out, that's, if it is accurate, that's in this moment. Residents continue to report health problems. They're losing their sense of taste, of eye infections. They're having a hard time breathing. We've talked about the fish kill. A new health clinic just opened up today, and they don't even have room for all the people who want to come in.
Well, this is total lack of preparedness or planning for any type of incident like this that could occur. There's been accidents and derailments on this line before, and everybody should have been better prepared. And I think that's the thing that's so frustrating to these people. And now they're They feel like they're being run around, and it's 3 weeks in, as you said, and they should be monitoring these people. They should be doing urinalysis. They should be doing blood draws. And our concern has always been, are they testing for every chemical? Nobody's even mentioned dioxide and how dioxin and how toxic that is. And so there's so much misinformation. It's just creating a worse scenario for the community. But they should be there monitoring their health, running tests. What are you looking for? Sharing these results with the people. So I don't want to sit here and say everything that's coming out of somebody else's mouth is a fact, a lie, but I think there's a lot of misinformation, mistruths without a further explanation of how this is going to play out, and just working on a moment, which won't be tomorrow. And as you said so beautifully, what happened in 9/11, that, here it was all safe, but look what we're learning down the line. We can't afford to put another community through that.
The EPA has just today ordered Norfolk Southern to clean up the train derailment site and pay costs. And they did find some contaminated soil under the tracks now today, I think today or yesterday, and they're going to clean that up. But is that enough? Should the federal government be doing more long term?
Well, I think long term, we have to take a really long, hard look at on the upfront why and how we're letting certain chemicals into the stream of commerce and onto the marketplace, period. I think we have to look at infrastructure failures. We have to look at railroads that are carrying these hazardous chemicals coming through town and how we're going to manage that going forward. So there's a systemic issue at play here. There's not a quick answer overnight. There's a lot of information that we still need. While we may know a lot, there's still a lot we don't know, and that's what we have to trace. And I think what's so important to these communities is tell them, if you don't know something, I don't know something, but we're going to have to find out. And all the misinformation just leads to greater frustration. And we should have responded much quicker to this situation. And a 3-week lag time is a big deal, and how much chemicals are seeping into the water, into the soil. And this is a long-term remediation, mitigation, and monitoring program to ensure the safety of this town long-term.
And you're taking part in a town hall in East Palestine on Friday, where people clearly have a lot of questions. We haven't heard yet from the Transportation Secretary. We've heard from him, but he has not been on site. So does he have to not come and own this? And do we need new regulations? Because I've heard reports that this train was not only extraordinarily long, too many cars, but that it's permitted with 1 car of toxics. I don't know the exact numbers, but that
Correct.
There should be better regulations on how many cars and what kinds of chemicals can be transported across the country.
Correct. We should be. And, we have a lot of good regulations on the book. Part of the problem is they're not enforced. So if we're not enforcing them, what good is having those regulations? So I think we need to look at different regulations. I think we need to look at corporate models. And the railroad has one that, it's kick the can down the line. It's profit over safety, and it's profit over anything, and that jeopardizes them. So we need to look at these corporate business models. We need to enforce regulations, or the ones that we have on the books. That is certainly a problem. So as I said earlier, there's a whole lot of things that we have to look at. And for me, in the moment, the most important thing we can do is listen to these people, keep this community intact, and mobilize quickly to give them answers, assurance, and testing and oversight for their health and welfare. They're terrified. I would be too. And this is a problem with these environmental issues and these chemicals. And they play out a very poor way as we move further into, as the contamination moves and we discover what they've really been exposed to. So I think the most important thing to do is begin to circle and protect them with testing, doctors, information, and assuring that it is safe. And at this point, I think everybody's questioning, Did we sound the alarm too early to let them come home? And they're very fearful. And we need to ascertain every bit of information that we can to give them an honest answer. And my gosh, if it's not, look, we have to be honest with people. They can always handle the truth. I've learned that about people. But what they can't handle is the lie.
Erin Brockovich, thank you. Thanks so much.